Talk show that cuts to the truth, no matter how painful it might be, and no BS. Citizen Smith, Citizen Smith, Citizen Smith.
Here's a man who would not take it anymore. A man who stood up against the scum, the dogs, the filth. Here is someone who stood up.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
Hey, everybody, how are you today? Beautiful day in paradise, as I like to say, in the Rose City. Although the rose wilts a little bit in the summertime. I was a little negative yesterday, I guess. Somebody who was listening said, geez, you really hate Portland. I'm like, I don't hate Portland. We're very negative about it. I'm like, I'm not very negative. I'm realistic. I call out what I see. And there are good things in the city, of course. It's kind of a love-hate relationship right now. The homeless thing gets me to be negative, but the beauty of the city and its overall aesthetics and the river and the foodie places and the people are pretty good. They're pretty nice. It's a good place. And they do innovative stuff. Like bike delivery guys.
What, guys delivering bikes?
No, they were on bikes delivering goods, like to-go orders. And I felt like I was back in China when I saw this yesterday. I was walking to the studio, and a guy on a tricycle, large tricycle, three-wheeler, carrying a big delivery thing on his back, on the back of the bike, called Beeline. Have you seen it?
No.
Neither
I haven't seen Beeline.
First time I saw it, Justin McDonald, and I was like, wow, look at that. I feel like I'm in China. The last time I saw delivery guys using bikes to deliver things is in China. They use them everywhere in that country where I lived for 2 years before I came back to America in the pandemic. Yeah, they have them everywhere, but they actually manually pedal. These guys have electric bikes. I don't know if
that's cheating.
I don't know if the tricycle guy had electric. He looked like he might have been manual, but he was zipping down the road here, and I was like, oh, look at that. Bike guy delivering stuff. Portland, I think of everything. So yesterday I was walking back from the Hawthorne Asylum food cart area where we were doing a Tasty Good PDX segment on a food cart there, which you can see later on today. We'll be posting it and this week. And there was another delivery guy with a bike. This one was a two-wheeler. And I was walking by and I'm like, hey, you want to do an interview? I haven't seen you guys before. Now I'm checking. I see you starting to see you around town. I'm like, wow, innovative. I told him last time I saw that was in China. Now you guys are doing it. China always says they copy things from America. Sometimes America copies things from China. So I, being the journalist that I am, man on the street investigator, asked him to do an interview, and he was politely accepting of such an offer. And here's our interview about the bike delivery.
Would you like me to play it now?
Would you do so, sir? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm outside the Hawthorne Asylum. Just happened to be walking by this guy with a bike. Carries things in it. It's called Portland Pedal Power.
Yeah, by leader.com.
And it's Alex?
That's Alex.
Yeah, and he's doing his job. We harassing him to talk about this because it's ironic because this morning I saw two. At 8 a.m. I saw one called Beeline.
Yep.
And he's in the three-wheeler,
Yep.
pulling him around. And then I bump into you with
I guess we had a technical issue with your video. I apologize. It just kind of stopped.
Do we have the audio?
Let me see what I can do. Okay, I apologize. But tell us a little bit more about this guy. I mean, I know you.
He was going to get lunch, and he has this big carry thing on the back for deliveries, which he said for the most part was for 4 people or more deliveries. He couldn't just order alone. And they carry it on the back, and he delivers it with an electric bike. And he says it's about 15 miles per hour with the bike. And same as a car, can get across the city with all the red lights and such.
Yeah, I apologize. Can't seem to get your video to continuously play. Something might be wrong with it. I think you screwed it up.
No.
I think you did. Just kidding. I'm not sure. I'm working on it here.
There's another way to do this.
What's that?
This is called guerrilla reporting. And watch what happens here.
What are you doing?
Just happened to be walking by this guy with a bike, carries things in it. It's called Portland Pedal Power.
Yeah, by waiter.com.
And it's Alex?
That's Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is low tech for us, bro.
Harassing him to talk about this. Because it's ironic. This morning I saw two. At 8 a.m. I saw one called Beeline.
Yep.
And he's in a three-wheeler,
Yep.
pulling him around. And then I bumped into you with a two-wheeler. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this business was so prevalent. Last time I saw this, I was in China. A lot of it there.
Yeah.
But Portland's got it going too. What's the deal?
It's sort of well suited to bicycling. We've got street lights that are timed to about 15 miles per hour, which is really nice for bicycling. A lot of people support bicycling, and then the city itself made a lot of infrastructure regarding it. Starting in the mid-90s and still spreading even both on this street.
Mid-90s they started this.
Wow.
You've been here for 5 years. You haven't seen it.
Yeah, but that was 2015 I got here.
It's
I don't spend a lot of time in town.
By bicycle than by car, just because of finding parking and that sort of thing, and seeing as how cars and bikes go about the same speed downtown.
I don't know about that. Depends what part of downtown.
But on the west side.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you're on Central East Side, so you're all over the city.
Yeah. But generally, most of our clients are downtown. Lots of large offices. So with this, and if we have a trailer, we could do lunch for a few hundred people. And then if we have to go more than that, we'll do 2 riders.
Wow.
How big is it? How many people?
The largest one I remember doing was a TEDx event where we brought small salads, and that was close to 1,000, maybe a little more, a little less.
How many bikers?
At our peak, it was about maybe 8 bicyclists, but that all dropped.
So they had 8 people go around town delivering. I think there could be hundreds doing this.
So you get your
I think you're right.
We should start this business.
Yep.
Talkcast
Like
deliveries, bike only, no electric,
depends.
manual.
That's also dropped, but it can be in the 20s or more. Depends. It's a small city, but yeah.
So how many of these companies are there in the city? So we mentioned 2, you and Beeline.
Yeah, Beeline and us. We're the primary, like the bicycles you see with the cargo enclosures. That's usually us.
Cargo enclosure.
There's lots of smaller couriers that deliver traditional things like office documents.
Yeah. That's what I'm more used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
The food thing is something I've never seen until now.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of also the Caviars and DoorDashes and them with the square backpacks.
But they're on motorcycles. Usually,
sometimes on bicycles. Some people will run the electric.
But they wear the
unicycle.
Electric backpacks, to be count. clear. You're strictly...
Right.
They have the
Electric
cargo
too?
enclosure.
Electric too.
Got you.
About a third of our bicycles also have front hub motors, and generally we use those with trailers. But yeah,
I'm surprised there's not more of this with the electric option for bikes. Cheap, quick, and like you said, you're almost going as fast as the cars anyway. With all the red lights, who needs a vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't carry as much. You're limited in capacity.
Yeah, that's true. So,
but if you're doing food, it's not a whole lot all the time anyway, right? It's to-go orders and things, right? Or am I?
Well, we're doing generally catering for offices, so we don't do many small orders. It's like
so people who don't want to leave the office, they order out and you deliver, or are they doing big orders for like an office party?
Generally, they're repeated, but we'll also do parties. We do bartending service, general catering, the whole shebang with tablecloths and all.
Okay, but if I want to order something from Hawthorne Asylum, or just a place where you take out and you pick it up and deliver it, we can do that too.
You could do that too, yeah.
How much?
I'm not sure on the minimum order, but usually it's going to be probably like 3 or 4 people plus.
Can't be an individual order.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Then you can do it.
Yeah.
And which is a little surprising. Coordinate with the businesses around.
Yeah, so we've had about 70 or so relations with different restaurants. A lot of those sort of fell under during COVID, and then we've established some more.
So building it back up.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, thanks for the spontaneous interview.
Yeah.
Citizen Smith, we'll talk to you again.
Nice to meet you, Citizen Smith.
Quick thinking there, Citizen Smith. Sorry,
You
the
gotta be on
video.
your toes.
Sorry,
You
the
gotta be
video.
on your
I
toes.
don't know what's going on with the video. It's
another
being-
technical glitch
being
in the glitchy
wonky.
system that we use.
Yeah, but at least you can. At least you're on the air today.
So, yeah, that was interesting. So the name of this company, again, I'm looking at their Portland, what does that say? PortlandPedalPower.com catering, PPP. Interesting. Yeah, they should do a lot more of that. In the rain, I guess it's a little difficult, but COVID, like everything, has knocked the businesses down in that area. Everybody's gradually coming back in this town. Starting to see the life of the city again.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's not a show without one technical issue. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Well, for those that are going to be listening on Spotify and Amazon Music and iTunes, our audio streaming platforms, as well as TalkCast PDX, they'll hear the audio and they don't have to see the video anyway. So that's why I did that. Hey, I was yesterday saying that, this heat wave was missing Portland, because our weather here is fantastic for the next 7 days. We're not getting this heat wave that's all the way from Texas and Nevada and California all the way up. But there are pockets, as I look at the weather map here, in Seattle, 100 degrees, not in Seattle, but just outside of Seattle. There's little pockets that goes into the hundreds this week, where your father's headed with his trip.
Yeah, it's going to be warm.
But in Portland, tomorrow 77. Today we're getting to the upper 70s at the most, but no heat wave coming here. So it's weird the way this heat wave pattern is going in certain pockets, but it's also hammering some areas and then nice in some other areas. So it's kind of strange weather pattern. Usually you figure, it's all, if it's 125 miles from or 50 miles from Seattle, 100 miles, it would be at least that hot nearby and even in the city, but somehow they escaped it into the 80s, just like Portland. So I just wanted to correct myself because I didn't think the heat wave made it to the Northwest. Coffee break. So I have this friend of mine in Alaska, and I've done a talk show with him, and he's been a columnist for me in a newspaper and that I owned. And I like to talk to him. We usually have a daily discussion. What direction it goes in is usually negative, but funny. He's kind of a negative, funny guy. So I said, you're really funny when you talk like this, but you're really miserable. He goes, I know, Ken.
He knows.
And I said, but you're really funny when you're miserable like this and talking. And he has a few drinks, right? And he's letting loose and venting as he vents a lot. I said, I'd love to start a segment called Mr. Misery. He says, you can do whatever you want, Ken. I said, I want to record you when you get on these rants. He's like, I don't care, Ken. Do whatever you want. Wow. So I recorded one of his rants yesterday that had me in stitches. I don't know. Maybe you won't. I hope you find if you think your life is miserable, listen to Mr. Misery. Okay, so hopefully this works.
Well, yeah.
I got the microphone. Here we go. Mr. Misery talking to me yesterday.
I don't feel good. I just don't feel good. I feel like I need to sleep for a month. And some guy called me who's going on a fishing trip and said, I was invited to a fishing trip last week and it was canceled because of 15-foot swells. I said, yeah, well, our trip's this weekend. He's like, well, I'm sledging now. I'm like, so you're going to be the naysayer, huh, Bob? That's your job, you're going to be the naysayer? I said, here's the deal. If it's swelling seas and we don't get to go out on the fishing boat, we're going to get shit-faced. How about that?
Oh, my.
What did Bob say?
Careful.
Fucking mechanicals. I give a shit. 15-foot swells.
Sorry about that.
Look at my hemorrhoid.
Hemorrhoids.
Fucking kidding me?
What the?
Oh, God. Lord, take. Is there another seat available so I can bring my girlfriend? I'm like, no.
I just jumped ahead.
There's no other room. One on, one off. You get the fucking meaning of that? What do you think? This is a private cruise ship? With the fucking love boat? I'm going to bring my girlfriend?
Oh my!
Yeah, I have, I have a bad cough.
I'm with my fucking Captain Stubing. My Zach, who works the bar. No, nobody's going. You're going or nobody's going. We'll save fucking $300.
Oh
I get
my!
this shit every day. I can't stand these people. How the fuck I live, I don't even know.
Mr. Misery here, ladies and
Yeah, I
gentlemen.
was just
I have a bad cough. I noticed. I think I got friggin' asthma from the.
Sounded like you
traffic
guys were
around
taking
here.
bong hits or something. It was,
Yeah, if I took bong hits, I'd drop dead.
Okay.
Everybody's coughing. I don't think we're all healthy anymore.
Well, it must be nice to have the house to yourself.
So I try to
without
turn the
family.
conversation
You're
positive.
out and about, the daughters and the wife. So you got this passive moment for yourself, for tranquility.
Hold on 1 second.
My phone here.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Here we go.
Nothing ends, people. It never ends. The hell that is my life is consistent.
So this is your young daughter you're talking to now.
Of course, Ken. I tell her everything.
So the family's back now.
This is good.
For what it's worth.
The unhappy married man at this point, the misery turns to.
Roseanne comes downstairs. I'm going to the store. Do you have any cash? No, I don't have any cash. I gave it all to you. I have no money. I have no life. Do you have any cash?
Okay.
I have nothing. I'm broke. Got it? I'll leave.
All right.
Oh,
Mr. Misery, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I don't know what to say to some people when they're getting into this mode. I try to bring them into a positive highlight, and it goes into a negative mode. So maybe it's the pandemic. Has it made everybody just a little rough?
I feel like going outside and talking to some homeless people now, and they sound like they have it better.
I don't know. I'm finding this a lot, though. I'm trying to talk to people, and they're really negative. This post-pandemic mental breakdown of, I don't know, life. I'm trying to be positive, but it seems to be getting more and more negative out there. I thought people would be turning to a positive light at this point in the game, but I'm finding people are struggling still. I'm struggling. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm living in euphoria. What is it? Is it the backlash of just this intense stress of the past year catching up, right?
I guess.
Have you noticed negativity and people just struggling to get into a more positive light? Or
I've noticed that happening over the last couple of years. People just getting
in the
more
last
negative.
couple of years.
You know,
Well, but we've been through almost 2 years of a pandemic.
Attitudes and things have really gotten crappy over the last couple of years. You know,
it's hard to walk around and talk to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm apprehensive to even open up discussions. I mean, I try to talk to people sometimes, and I just don't want to talk. The positive light isn't there. I figure we snapped out of it by now, but you know, when I hear that, I'm like, geez, you know, how do we get somebody like that turned around? How's my friend lift his spirits up? I can't, you know, the stress of the job, stress of family life. This COVID has put everybody in this little vacuum that they're now trying to get out of because they were sucked into it.
Yeah. I mean, some people can handle it. Some people obviously cannot.
I think a lot of people can't handle what we've been through. The trauma of this past pandemic, which still isn't over. We're still in it, really. We're still struggling as a society to get back together and be happy and out of that isolation mode. It's not life like it was a year and a half ago before all this. 2 years ago. Let's go 2 years ago, right? We're shell-shocked. We're traumatized, I think. And then I keep reading that the pandemic's getting worse in other areas. And then now I'm hearing that we need a third shot maybe for the booster. And I'm like, we're really not out of this thing. I'm trying to get out mentally, but now I'm being pulled back in with the booster shot. It's back and forth now where they say this Delta variant now has got us going back to maybe a third shot, which then my mentality is, damn it, we're really not out of this pandemic. I don't know what it could be 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, but mentally speaking, I'd like to see somehow positive energy from people. And we all got to work together to be positive in this world, as difficult as it is. I'm not a family man. I don't have the wife and kid. I don't have the stress of that must be a whole nother level of worry, stress. You've got your kids to worry about in the pandemic. Then they're at home during the school year for the entire year, which I can hear his stress from all that comes out, my friend. And now we're hoping the kids go back to school. At least that will give some relief to the parents. They can think about that, right? As the summer's winding down, your kids are heading back to school because school's supposed to be fully open. So that gives you a little breathing room. From a family perspective, this really must have been more strain and stress than I even understand until I talk to somebody. 2 kids, wife, everybody's in the home together for a year and a half. Some situations more difficult than others for people. How was your situation, Justin? Did you feel the stress?
We were actually pretty good. I kept working. My wife was working from home, so she was able to keep an eye on Aiden.
Honestly, was there extra strain or stress
in the pandemic?
Yeah,
of course there was.
How bad was it?
I mean, not bad enough that we can't deal with it, but it was. There were times where a lot of juggling. A lot of my kid's a swimmer, so practices, the pools were closed, and we had to drive to the lake. I mean, there was a lot of inconvenience that came along with it, but nobody got sick, so I was okay. We're okay. I was working in news at that point and giving death reports every day.
Oh yeah,
all that bullshit. That made me want to quit the business.
I would not want to be a news guy during this pandemic, and even now, I try to watch the news, but it's really so negative. Whew.
Yeah, it made me want to quit.
Journalism's a tough job as it is, but when you have to report negative news every day, as it like we're at a whole nother new level of negativity for news.
Oh yeah,
I cannot watch TV news.
Yeah,
I've discontinued.
Yeah, I don't either.
Watching TV news, it's just too damn negative.
When every 15 minutes you have to say, start off your cast. Today, the COVID-19 death numbers. This many people died. Boy. This many people have been diagnosed.
I was the editor of a paper in Boston during this time, Asian paper, and I was feeling the heavy burden of it every week, and I couldn't imagine doing it every day. It was a weekly to be on the news every day,
every 15 minutes.
So there's been a lot of people quit.
Yeah, I found it by the time Christmas passed, this last Christmas, and we rolled into January, I was completely burnt out. Done.
A lot of people quit from the news business.
I wasn't happy. Out. My boss would ask me, "Are you even want to be here?" And I'd say yes, but I did not want to be there.
2 things. A, burnout, because it hit people hard in the news business. And sometimes the general public doesn't understand how severe it is mentally on reporters to go through a pandemic like this and have to report on the deaths and the riots and this and that. It takes its toll. Assignment editors gone, they're burnt out. Reporters burnt out. And on top of the burnout was no advertising, plummeted, so they can't afford staff. So they get rid of the staff, and you're doing more work in having to have more negative news to report. That's the double whammy. That's why the business has suffered. And that's why you saw a lot of job openings for reporters in March, April, May.
Right now, tons of reporter jobs.
Here's my advice to a reporter. Don't do it. Get another job.
Keep your sanity. Go work at McDonald's. You'll be fine.
Keep your sanity. Don't be a news reporter.
Now, look, hang on. I don't mind. Look, if they want to be a news reporter in something like, small town somewhere where, it's nice news and all that, that's great. But
small towns are not nice news as you think.
Stay away from corporate bullshit.
Well, I was a reporter for many years, so I enjoyed the job in that it was very important, in my opinion, to the community.
Agreed.
It burnt me out. But it took me 20 years, but a good solid 15 running a newspaper. I was telling my friend during this conversation, I said, what you're suffering from is burnout. He's suffering from burnout from his job. And he called me this morning again, and he essentially admitted it. So the negativity is the stress of a burnout too. And I read an article, when do you know you're burnt out? And I told him I knew I was burnt out from working as a newspaper publisher and editor when I kind of like hit a wall, and I didn't want to write another news story. So I started traveling around the country remotely running it. And then I started gradually like working my way out of the business.
Yeah.
And after 2 years of like just enjoying, I said this was my advice. I said, you're burnt out in life from a job, especially when you're not enjoying life. Like if you can't get away from your job and keep enjoying things because you're worried about the job, or when you come back and you have to go back to work and you can't even get motivated, those are two signs of burnout. But when you stop enjoying life, it's time for a change.
That's right.
Because you either love your job and it's bringing you happiness when you'll find that happiness at the job and when you're not working. But when you suddenly wake up every day, as you can hear, my friend, not happy, that's not just stress and strain, that's burnout.
Yeah.
And some psychologists have been looking at this situation. I've read articles about, when is burnout happening? Because I'll tell you, it's hard to recognize it. It sneaks up on you, and you have to kind of address, you have to figure it out. Well, you had your news job, and I told you when you took the job, I said, man,
I know.
News reporting and radio is a burnout job.
The funny part is, I hadn't been in a newsroom in probably, 20 years?
And then you get hired and a pandemic broke out.
Yeah, bam. I come from, and 35 years of radio, general manager, all the jobs. And then I never was a news person. So I was like, let's do it. But you were right.
One of the things I like about what we're doing here at Talkcast PDX is it's not news, right? We're doing talk shows and podcasts. And I feel that this type of media that we're doing in this digital age is a great outlet to get away from the negativity and news that's out there. Even though I do an issue show here, I try to lighten it up with humor and bring in variety. But all the shows that we're doing on our platform now, whether it's gardening or a wine show, these are shows that are enjoyable, fun, and it's fun to produce them. And it's really rewarding to bring them to a platform in Portland that are local and contributing to the community in a positive way, and maybe putting a smile on people's faces when they listen or watch the shows. We're starting a new show called Was It an Orgy?
Was that an orgy?
Oh, thank you. But fun. Positive talk about sex and humor with Teresa and Charlene. And it debuts this week. And again, going after a topic like sex, but making it fun and open and uninhibited, something that I think is positive and enjoyable to listen and watch. And that's why I'm embracing this new media and position and job and work we're doing, because it's the complete antithesis of news reporting, right? So you feel a little like, this is something completely different. It's fun.
It's good.
You got to have fun when you work, too.
It feels good.
And you'll be stepping away from the board tomorrow. Friday and Monday as you go on a fishing trip to Alaska.
Yep. Yeah, I'll try to check in, but I doubt it because I won't have cell coverage for at least a couple days.
What
But
a wonderful experience.
but you'll
No
have
cell phone for 2 days.
you'll have somebody here hopefully, and nothing will blow up.
Are you going to be okay without the cell phone, or you
Yeah, I
might
can't-
have some withdrawal?
I'm actually
symptoms?
looking forward to it quite heavily, actually. So just 2 days with no phone.
Out in the wilderness.
Yep.
Just
Camping.
don't get eaten by a bear.
I got a nice sidearm. We also
You're bringing one.
yeah.
I only brought bear spray with me when I went out.
And then the guys that I'm meeting there, going with, have a full arsenal, shotguns, things like that. So we'll be good. I'm stoked.
Everybody brings their arsenals, but
Shotgun's the best thing to use for a bear. You
never use them.
Shotgun's best thing to deter a bear.
They always say though, if the bear's that close, on the surprise attacks are when it happens, and you don't have time to grab a gun.
Sleeping in a tent and they pounce on you.
Yeah, so I
Fun
mean,
times.
but aside from the bears are usually the least of your problems. You just let them know where you are. And
Mhm.
we've all been out there in the wilderness of Alaska fishing, and
Absolutely.
the key is to enjoy yourself and catch some grayling.
Yep. And then I think we're gonna go to Chino Hot Springs too for a few hours and hit the hot springs. Jump in
I
there.
never made it there.
Oh, it's really cool.
So fun trip for you. You'll come back rejuvenated,
Yeah,
rested,
excited. Yeah. And then we can continue the show.
and we'll continue to develop our shows here at Talkcast PDX. Every week we're adding more and more. What's some other new shows coming? Just mention those.
So we have a show called Binge Watch Tonight coming in the next few weeks.
Binge Watch Tonight, which is like a
Yeah, they get together. There's 3 guys that get together, and they all were assigned certain things to watch. And when they get together, they talk about all that and go over everything. They always have a certain topic.
well, wait, is it movies or
It could be movies. It could be TV. It could be whatever.
interesting?
Whatever the category
All right, see,
is.
fun,
Yeah.
not news.
So Binge Watch Tonight will be on its way. We have a few others in development. Portland Interview Magazine podcast is out there, or as I like to call it, Pimp, is going to be adding new episodes. The current episode, Dave Dahl, our good friend, interviews Captain Abramson and talk about police activities here in Portland.
Yeah, that's been on there for a while, a couple of weeks now. But all right, so the other new shows,
Other new shows.
the one about with Travis.
The Weed Blog's coming on. They're going to have a cannabis issue-oriented program, news and stuff like that. And then I have another person who has signed for a show. They don't have a title yet. They don't have a title for their show yet.
But it will be about
It'll be about societal stuff, like fun things, like pop culture, things like that.
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Stay tuned for all that on Talkcast PDX. I'm Citizen Smith. Hopefully, we'll be in Thursday and Friday. We're still working out our schedule with our board ops, but we expect to be here. Enjoy your day, be positive, and have fun.